Hey everyone, I know what you're thinking, what the hell am I looking at? Well, this is Cosmonarchy Broodwar, a total overhaul mod for Broodwar that adds more than 50 units per race, distinct tech tiers, no supply cap, loads of other quality of life features. This video is about the premier tournament for Cosmonarchy Acropolis. If you want to check out Cosmonarchy Broodwar, you can play for free anytime. I've got all the links in the description. You don't even need StarCraft Remastered. But if you don't know what Cosmonarchy is, this may not even be the video for you anyway. Without further ado, we're going to get to my bracket predictions. Alright, so here we are. Here is the bracket for the first Gauntlet stage. Now, the Gauntlet is just the qualifier. Those who make it through the Gauntlet and qualify will enter the battlement, which will be the group stage. And there's going to be a second Gauntlet after this one, so those who do not qualify here will still have another chance. So, we're going to just first quickly mention Hit 'em Up and Top Ramen here are already advanced, obviously because they had good results from Tyrant's Tale and just the more skilled players in general. But other than mentioning them, I'm just going to jump right in, go through each match one at a time, and predict what I think the outcome will be. Starting with Benno versus versus Art of Turtle. Now, Benno's been around for a while. In fact, he was the one who introduced me to Cosmonarchy. But I have to say, I don't think he's the same class of player as Art of Turtle. He's grinded for a while. He's had some good showings, I think. But Art of Turtle's just a really strong macro player, really aggressive player. Really like high APM. Oh yeah, and the format, by the way, is best of 3 up until qualifying matches, which is best of 5. So each match I'm going to predict the score. I got to give this to Art of Turtle 2-0. I just don't see any way, because in the past, we've seen Benno, I think, really flail sometimes in live matches. Sorry, Benno. So that one's pretty cut and dried for me. All right, Nightfox versus Luciferius. Luciferius, I've been impressed with how little he plays. He's had some really strong showings. He's looked pretty good sometimes. Given that I'm classifying him as like the players who grind all the time and the players who just don't play much, right? And Luciferius definitely doesn't play much. He does play some. Nightfox, on the other hand, he plays a lot, but I feel like there are vulnerabilities in his play. I still think, though, he can handle Luciferius. Now, I don't know how Nightfox's TVT is. I'm still going to go a 2-0 here, just because I think Nightfox has been super active in the lead up to Acropolis, or to Gauntlet anyway. He's pretty motivated, I think, to succeed, whereas I feel like Luciferius is just kind of doing it for fun, which it's fine, but it just means I'm not going to favor him for the win that much. So that's another 2-0. Cannoli versus Smarty Cakes. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've seen Cannoli play like more than one game, so I really don't know much. I've heard they're not bad. But again, Smarty Cakes has been grinding so hard. In fact, Smarty Cakes is becoming a real shark out there. Some very intense games I've seen him play. Some very strong play out of him. I feel like Smarty Cakes is coming up to be like the next Class 1 threat. So I'm still just predicting all 2-0s so far. This, again, I don't know how good Cannoli is. Cannoli might be way better than I think. But from what I've heard, I think it's a pretty clear 2-0 as well. An exciting bracket so far, all 2-0s. All right, Vic 7 versus Son of Alcatraz. Again, I'd say Vic 7 is a player who I feel like doesn't play very much. Of course, he's very busy, let alone with the dev stuff he does for Cosmonarchy. He doesn't have that much time to play it in general, I don't think. But he is a very strong player, again, even without playing it much. And Son of Alcatraz, I think, has done well in the past. He's a decent player, I'd say, but also hamstrung by probably a lack of active playing. And again, Vic 7, I think, is just in a total other class to Son of Alcatraz. So we got another 2-0. One of these days, I'm going to predict not a 2-0. Oh, this could be an interesting one. There you go. K-Dask versus Dead Infested. Now, Dead Infested, again, I have seen him grinding a lot in the lead up to the Gauntlet. And he's improved a vast amount since the last Acropolis. If you look at his performance last Acropolis, I think you're going to see like a new man this Acropolis. I think Dead Infested is going to surprise everyone, quite frankly. He's going to power through. But that's it. K-Dusk is a pretty strong player as well. Newer to Cosmonarchy than Dead Infested for sure. But they seem to be pretty strong, I think. Just like a base level of mechanics seems to be there. But I still favor Dead Infested a lot. I think K-Dusk can maybe take a game here. So I'm gonna give a 2-1, my first 2-1. But now I'm reconsidering. No, who am I kidding? I think Dead Infested also just wins that 2-0. Because again, he's just been so present in grinding and the meta and stuff. And K-Dusk, while I think they're a decent player, I feel like has not really had the volume of recent games. I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong at gauging the skill here, because I feel like between K-Dusk and Dead Infested, they're both of a level where I find it hard to actually tell how they are relative to each other. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to keep the 2-0 trend going. All right, next. Jack Alansky versus Toyota Miguel. Now, Jack Alansky is also a grinder. Had a bit of a hard time in official matches, I have to say. I feel like Jack Alansky's performance in practice and in official matches has a great disparity. And Toyota Miguel has been practicing pretty hard as well. He's definitely improved a lot. I still think Jack Alansky gets this. I'm trying to imagine if there's a scenario where I think Tim Miguel can win, because I feel like the only way to really beat Jack Zelensky is to really lean on him and pressure him a lot. And I feel like Turner Miguel does not have the sort of mechanics or multitasking to be super aggressive. And if you leave Jack Zelensky alone, he will just take the map and hit you with tier 3 and like 50 arcadialists will come to your base. So, sorry, it's another 2-0. Alright, just Barisu versus Mystery Meat. Now, I'm not entirely convinced Barisu's going to actually play, because he seems kind of lackadaisical about the whole thing. But hey, I don't think that's a reason not to sign up. Whatever, the more the merrier. If he doesn't show, all that just means is Mystery Meat advances to the next tier. And obviously Mystery Meat is one of the strongest players we have. Even if Barisu is like grinding Cosmonarchy right now, he can't take on Mystery Meat. There's no time. Not to say Barisu's a bad player. I think Barisu has some skills which can be very difficult for some players. But he is just not going to be a player of a class for Mystery Meat. I'm sorry, that's an easy one to predict. Arbus Budesh vs. Luai. Alright, disclaimer, I know literally nothing about Luai. I first heard of them when I looked at this bracket. I'm like, wait, who's that? So, no idea. I can only assume they're pretty new to Cosmonarchy and don't really know what they're doing yet, since I haven't even heard of them, haven't played them, haven't seen them on cast. And Arbus Budesh is one of the top 5 players, definitely. So, it's again another easy 2-0. Alright, Dino Man vs. Jujike. Is it Jujike or Jujic? This is the constant debate, but I think it's Jujike. Dino Man, he's been around a little while. I have to say, not very impressive mechanics. Jujike is actually a pretty legit player. I'd rate him pretty highly in this matchup. I don't know what Dino Man's playing are with random. I don't think Jujike is that cheesable, though. I just don't think he's going to go down that way. So, sorry, it's another 2-0. Alright, 3 Crow vs. Belatal. Belatal, I think it's Belatal, not Belathal. I don't know. You can correct me. They've been around for a while. As longer than I've been in the Discord, of course, probably much longer. But again, I don't see them really grinding these PvP games. Now, 3 Crow, again, I wouldn't say he plays very much, but he has had some pretty good performances for someone who doesn't grind. I think there's a lot of skill there, but it needs refinement. But I imagine Belatal is just not going to be sort of up to speed with PvP games, just because I never see them play. So I'm going to say 3 Crow sort of has that sort of nous for PvP of how to mess with your opponent where I'm expecting Belatal doesn't. So I think that's going to be a pretty clean match as well. Londier versus Shopkeeper Dog. Now, Londier, I don't know what he's doing with Terran, because up until now, the only thing he would do, he would only make cannons and possibly wardens or engrams, and he'd drop the cannons around in envoys. That was his whole strat. That's literally the only thing he would ever do. So I don't even know what he's going to do as Terran. But Shopkeeper Dog's a pretty strong player. He's definitely up there with the class 2 sort of level, I think. And again, he's another player who's been grinding a lot, whereas Londier, you hardly see him play. And when he was playing, he was practicing the wackiest thing ever. So I can't imagine he's going to come in and just be like, yes, the secret Terran skills and be a beast and take out Shopkeeper Dog. I'm sorry, I'm giving it another 2-0. Can I get through this whole bracket with 2-0s? Jarlstorm vs. Enos. Again, you don't see Enos play much. I'm not going to say too much. I think Jarlstorm's pretty good. Another 2-0, sorry. Myriad Colors vs. EUD. Now, I don't know much about Myriad Colors. I'm not sure I've ever even played against them. EUD was definitely the kind of guy that we were all scared when he was playing before he had to go away. He was looking like the strongest player we had. But of course, after a big break, I'm sure he's a little bit rusty. No doubt he can get back up to speed soon. So I again, not really knowing at Myriad Colors level, I mean, just against anyone, I feel like EUD is going to dominate. So I don't think he's going to be that out of practice. I'm going to give another 2-0 here. All right, last chance to not have a 2-0. BDB versus Evangelion. Now, Evangelion has jumped in and practiced quite a lot since she's arrived. And, trying to get in shape for Gauntlet and just in general improve. BDB, of course, has been around for a while. And, I was saying about Jack Zelensky, he performs badly in matches. I feel like BDB is the complete opposite. He somehow just kills people in official matches, just absolutely crushes them with the most bullshit things he could possibly do. And Evangelion, I think while she's definitely working hard, improving rapidly, I don't think is going to be able to deal with the absurdity that BDB is sure to throw out. These are definitely matches worth watching because BDB is going to do something entertaining. He's never going to play a straight-up game, that's for sure. But I don't think Evangelion's going to be able to stop whatever he has played. I think it's going to be a pretty one-sided. So there you go. All 2-0s for the first round. All right. That's not so good, but oh well. Yeah, I just call it how I see it. Now, I will remind you there is a lower bracket, but we're going to do all the top bracket until we get up to where we need to determine the winner, and then we're going to do all the lower brackets. So back to the top bracket. Next, we have Hit 'em Up versus Outer Turtle. I mean, now that EUD, has rusted and what have you, and probably just because hit 'em ups had time to get used to it more, I would say that, he hit 'em up's definitely the most favored player to win this, and I think most people would agree. Like, win the whole of Acropolis, I mean. It's really just a shame that he has to come through Gauntlet. But on the other hand, it's kind of interesting to see him be able to go through and crush people. So I don't really think Ardent Turtle has much chance. Now, Ardent Turtle does play like a bit more aggressively than most Zergs. I know he can keep people off guard. Part of it is because he's more familiar with regular broodwar. I think that brings a sort of different angle on things, which is interesting. So I think they might pose some problems for hit 'em up, but hit 'em up's just so strong overall. I don't really see him dropping games to Ardent Turtle. Alright, next we have the Night Fox versus Smarty Cakes. Well, I was saying Smarty Cake's been grinding real hard. Night Fox has been playing a bit too. I might give my first non-2-0 here. I think Smarty Cakes definitely takes it. I think there's no doubt he wins, but there is a reasonable chance that Night Fox can take a game. Now, when I've seen the Smarty Cakes play, well, maybe I shouldn't do too much analysis of people's strategy here, because I'll affect the outcome also by giving advice on how to play against people, but I'll just say Smarty Cakes definitely has a certain style. And I think if Night Fox can sort of adapt in the matches, I think he has a good chance of taking a game. But I don't think he'd win it. Honestly, I kind of lean towards 2-0. But I just want to say he has a good chance to take a game. So we're going to give that 2-1. There we go. We did it. Vic 7 versus Dead Infested. It's an interesting one too. Especially PvP. This is tough to call. Because I would definitely have said last Acropolis. You would have said no question. Vic 7 crushes him. But this is testament to how hard Dead Infested has been practicing. How far he's come. I'm really looking at this as a toss-up now. I've got to give the edge to Vic 7 though, because he just seems to have a sort of innate level of play that's higher, like just through long-term RTS experience, I imagine. I'm not sure how much either of them are up on PvP though, so it could be a bit wild. I'm going to go over 2-1 here, but I think I've got to give it to Vic 7. I would be open to being surprised by Dead Infested winning that though. I think that's definitely a possibility here. So one of the closest ones I've looked at so far. Jackie Langsky versus Mystery Meat. Okay, that's a pretty high point as well. Now, Jackie Langsky can definitely leverage the power of Zerg in a long game, but Mystery Meat is definitely one of the strongest players to macro in the later game. A lot of players, I think even the top players who are quite good here, don't necessarily use the full potential of their race once we get past the very early game. And it's fair to say you can win a lot of games just by being better in the early game. I mean, that's how the game works. So I think that's fine. But Mystery Meat really has superb sort of army movement and sort of development of the later game. So he could match Jackie Langsky potentially if it gets to that long game situation. That's really Jackie Langsky's strength. But at the same time, I feel like Mystery Meat not too prone to do any crazy cheese, so definitely might be able to get into the kind of game Jackie Langsky feels better about more often. I mean, you've got to give it to Mystery Meat on balance, right? But, he has been a little bit rusty. He played in Tyrant's Tale, of course, and knocked me down, so he did pretty well there. So he obviously still has form, but I haven't seen him practicing super much. That said, neither has Jackie Langsky, so I'm going to give it Mystery Meat. Do I say 2-0? I'm going to say 2-0. Sorry, Jack. I really think Mystery Meat will take it. Guess we'll see. Arbuz Budesh versus Jutakay. Alright, Arbuz is definitely like the strongest Protoss player, so I don't think there's really much to be said. Well, I mean, hit him up said he might go Protoss, so who knows? We'll see about that. But especially PvP, I don't see Jutakay taking a game off him. Arbuz is just really strong, man. He's going to be ruthless. We love you, Jutakay, but you go into the lower bracket. 3 Crow versus Shopkeeper Dog. I think this is where you'll see 3 Crow will look good, but the fundamental lack of mechanics is going to drag him down. My expectation is we're going to see games where openings go well for both players, or, 3 Crow's looking fine, and then in a situation that's theoretically even or even favoured for 3 Crow, he's just going to fall off, because that tends to be what happens. So I've got to give this one to Shopkeeper Dog, and I think it's quite likely to be a 2-0. I think Shopkeeper Dog's macro is just stronger, and I don't think Shopkeeper Dog is too vulnerable to cheese. I mean, if you're known as always cheesing, right, surely it's a weakness. I don't know if Frico will be able to pull something off here. I want to say this is a 2-0, but if this makes sense, a pretty uncertain 2-0. If Frico can pull something out, I can see him winning the series. It's definitely possible, but I think the most likely outcome is a 2-0. All right, Jowlstorm versus EUD. Jowlstorm's definitely up and coming, looking pretty good, but EUD, even with his rust, I think, again, just outclasses him. So I'm just going to put the 2-0 down, not say too much about this. I'm just thinking EUD probably good enough for TVZ. You just got to think about the individual matchups, because some people don't practice a lot of mirrors or stuff like that. But yeah, I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. Biddy B versus Top Ramen. That's a bit rough for Biddy B, because that's like one of the best players. Obviously, second place in Tyrant's Tale, and we know he's been practicing a lot, really in form. I don't think he's going to succumb to anything BDB could do. It would be a huge upset, to be honest, if BDB even took a game. So I'm going to put 2-0. All right, that takes us to the third round. Hit 'em up versus Smarty Cakes. Look, I'm going to save some time here. I think I'm just going to rate Hit 'em up 2-0 versus everyone. So I'm going to call that. Smarty Cakes definitely has some play here, but I think Hit 'em Up's going to see him coming. I think Hit 'em Up knows his play well. So that'll be that. Vic 7 versus Mystery Meat. You would have given it to Mystery Meat for sure in the past, but since he's been away so long, it's hard to say. But Vic 7 also hasn't been playing super much. So I feel like the same edge Mystery Meat has, the relative edge is still there. So I want to say 2-0. Again, I could see Vic taking the game, but I don't think it's particularly likely. I think 2-0 is much more likely. All right, Arbuz Budesh versus Shopkeeper Dog. Oh, this would be a good match. Arbuz Budesh definitely has the edge. He's just been really strong and, you know, in his matches, in official matches, like in Tyrant's Tale, his performances look pretty good. I don't really see Shopkeeper Dog winning the series. I don't really see him taking a game, quite frankly. Shopkeeper Dog's definitely been looking strong, but I don't think he's on the level where he's going to take out Arbuz Budesh. I can picture, right, in practice, Shopkeeper Dog would take games off Arbuz sometimes. I think that would be the case. Maybe rarely. But I think in a match somehow, it's just going to go pretty straightforward. All right, EUD versus Top Ramen. Ooh, okay, contentious one. Top Ramen definitely been investing very hard into his macro and just general mechanics. He's been looking really strong. I'm not sure if EUD is really bringing anything that Top Ramen doesn't have and doesn't have more of, I guess. Since EUD's been away, Top Ramen's really taken up his mantle, and I feel like he's the best Terran now, except maybe for Hit 'em Up. So I got to give it to Top Ramen. The question is, would it be a 2-0? I don't know. EUD definitely has a lot of potential there, right? He might surprise us and be more on form than we imagine. Of course, he pulled out the tank drops all the time before. Maybe he has some similar technique that's going to do a lot of damage. Ramen isn't super susceptible to like harassment and that sort of thing, but it's always possible. I'll say a 2-1, but I feel like I'm being a bit kind to EUD. I really think Ramen would take it. I could be wrong. EUD might just 2-0 him. It's really... EUD is a very unknown quantity at this point, since he's been away, and he was so strong when he left. It's really hard to say. I think I'm going to stick with this. I'll just be confident, go with that. All right, round 4. Now... Okay, at this point I have to explain that only 4 players are qualifying in total from this gauntlet. There's going to be a second gauntlet. So these finals don't actually exist. This is fake. You get to this point, and the winners of these ones qualify. And then in the lower bracket, they have another chance. So these are qualifying matches. These will be best of 5. So let's start with Hit 'em Up versus Mystery Meat. A very interesting one for sure. And again, I don't know what race Hit 'em Up's going to be playing. Possibly random. Who knows? But I don't think it really matters. I think whatever Mystery Meat's doing, I feel like Hit 'em Up is just like some steps ahead of him. I don't really know. I don't really understand it, probably because I'm just not that good a player myself. But it seems like Hit 'em Up just is more... What's the way to put it? I feel like he sort of has elaborated on his play more. He just has more utilization, I guess, of his strengths. And Mystery Meat, since he's been away a little bit, is not as well practiced anymore, not quite as strong anymore. He's definitely still one of the strongest players, I can't deny. I mean, he kicked me down in Tyrant's Tale, of course. But I feel like Hit 'em Up just has his number. I don't know why. He just somehow is, like I said, steps ahead of him. I would not be surprised to see a 3-0. I'm just going to put it a 3-0. Again, I feel like Mystery Meat could take a game, but I would be surprised. Hit 'em Up always claims he has nerves, but that didn't really manifest in Tyrant's Tale. He still did pretty well. So I really think he's just going to crush Mystery Meat there. So Hit 'em Up will be the first qualifier, but no surprise there. Look, we always knew I was going to say Hit 'em Up was going to qualify. Any sane person would say Hit 'em Up is going to qualify in this gauntlet. That's guaranteed. All right, other qualifier. We have Arbuz Budesh versus Top Ramen. This is going to be a really close one, I think. Top Ramen does seem a bit stronger overall. Although I feel like he's been struggling in the early game a bit, and he could definitely die in the early game. But I feel like in late game, Arbuz Budesh doesn't really have much chance. The only way he could really win, I think, is by leveraging some kind of tech advantage, like abusing Didax, for example, or stuff like that. Not to say that couldn't happen, not to say it's even unlikely, but it just seems like on balance, in a straight-up fight, Ramen is just going to be overwhelming in the late game because he does keep his production up really well. But that said, I think Ramen does struggle with the early game, so could go either way. I definitely want to lead Ramen. Again, I'm not going with any controversial opinions here. I guess I'll say 3-2. It's going to be a close one. It's definitely going to be a close series. I mean, I don't know how hard Arbuz will have practiced. If I feel like if Arbuz is like super prepared for a PvT series, especially against Ramen specifically, he's going to win easily. But if both of them just went in blind, we woke them up at like 2 a.m., like, quick, you have to play a Cosmonarchy game, I think top Ramen wins pretty easily, if that makes sense. And so I'm just assuming they're not going to have the same sort of prescience as me in these predictions, right? So I've got to give it to top Ramen, if slightly. But I think a 3-1 is also quite likely. A 3-2 for Arbuz, I'd say, is not as likely. All right, let's see. I guess that's the top bracket. I'm saying hit 'em up and top Ramen are going to qualify. So now the lower bracket. So those who got knocked down. All right, I guess I'll start in the first row and then work my way down. Luciferius versus Cannoli. All right. Again, I haven't really seen anything of Cannoli. Luciferius has been pretty good. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. For a guy who doesn't play much, he's pretty scary. You'd think you could directly gauge the threat of someone by how much they actually play the game, but Luciferius, I never see him play, man, but when he does, you think, oh, okay, this guy's actually pretty good. And again, knowing nothing about Cannoli, I'm just going to have to hedge here and say 2-1. I don't know, maybe Cannoli's better than I think. But I want to believe. I want to see Luciferius go through. Son of Alcatraz versus K-Dusk. Quite a close one, I would say. But Son of Alcatraz, I just haven't really seen him playing. I feel like these two players have like a similar sort of overall skill level, but the recent playing definitely makes me favor K-Dusk. I'm going to say 2-0 even. I think K-Dusk is more serious here. Feel free to prove me wrong. All right, Toyota Miguel versus Just Barisu. Again, assuming Barisu actually plays. If Barisu spent like a week playing Cosmonarchy before this, I think he could beat Toyota Miguel, but it's still iffy. I think it's most likely Toyota Miguel just has the game knowledge and familiarity with Cosmonarchy, and he just wins. I'm going to say 2-1, not necessarily because I think that'll be the score. I just want to hedge against the possibility of Barisu like getting in and getting good real fast. Because Barisu definitely has like some skills from broodwar that could transfer over. But I doubt he's actually going to do it. So this is just me hedging on the outcome of the match, not so much of the score. Luai versus Dynaman. Again, Luai knowing literally nothing. I really am just guessing here. And I don't even know what Dynaman's going to be pulling out at random. So this is just a total guess. And I guess I know a bit about who Dynaman is, so I just got to give it to him, just for familiarity. Balathal versus Londier. Like I said, I have no clue what Londier is going to be doing. But I will say, with his cannon drop play, he sort of was able to outmuscle his opponents over time. So whatever craziness he has planned, I think he's going to be able to pull it off as Balathal. I'll give him a 2-0. Enos versus Myriad Colors. Again, Myriad Colors, a player I don't really know. I think Enos has some skills for sure. I think he can pull it off against the unknown player. I can give it 2-1 just because give the benefit of the doubt. I don't know what Myriad Colors play is like. I could be totally wrong, but Myriad Colors is like a really good player who I just don't know of, and they might be able to crush through. Who knows? All right, second row. BDB versus Benno. Ooh, that's an exciting one. Quite a good match in terms of skill, I would say. I feel like as long as BDB has some kind of plan for some craziness he's going to do, and he executes it well, he will easily beat Benno, because I feel like Benno is quite susceptible to that kind of play. And I would have said if both players are trying for like a standard game, it's a fairly even match. But BDB is known for being really effective at pulling out these crazy strats in official matches. So I'm going to say it's a 2-0 as long as BDB is prepared. That's the only question there. All right, Jarl Storm versus Luciferius. I'm sorry, Luciferius. I know I was saying you're looking good before, but Jarl Storm is bursting onto the scene, man. Not that he's that new, but he's looking strong. He's looking like he wants to get stuff done. I think this is where Luciferius' dream journey ends. Dream journey, I say. Loses one match, wins one match, then here. I'm sorry if this is your fate, Luciferius, but again, I got to call him how I see it. 3 Crow versus K-Dusk. I think 3 Crow has some play here for sure. But the old may have to give way to the new. I don't really see him taking a series. I think it could definitely be a 2-1. Oops, 21. 21 points for K-Dusk. I think K-Dusk will have this. But it'll be a good series to watch, I think, for sure. GGK versus Toyota Miguel. Again, a tough one to call. We're getting into these close matches finally here in the lower bracket. I'm just thinking about it. I want to say GGK is better overall, but Toyota Miguel definitely has a sort of tenacity to him. It depends on so many things. This is really hard to call because I could really go either way. I'm just going to put 2-1 for Toyota Miguel because I feel like he's sort of the underdog and I want to support the underdog. I want to believe. But I guess this is a prediction. This isn't what I want to happen. This is what I think will happen. So fine. I'll put GGK 2-1, but I'm sorry, GGK. I'm hoping for the opposite outcome because I feel like GGK is definitely a sort of more established player, but Toyota Miguel is sort of the aspirational up-and-comer, I feel like. Jackie Langston vs. Dynaman. Well, again, I don't know what Dynaman's going to be bringing with random, but Jack is just such a strong player overall. I don't think there's really any doubt he's going to crush through here. Dead Infested vs. Londier. Okay, by now, whatever craziness Londier is doing will have been revealed. Like, whatever ridiculous strat he's played with Terran, it's going to have been seen. And again, Dead Infested has improved so much. I think he's of a level where he can handle that kind of thing. As long as it's not totally blindsided, which in theory he won't be. So I don't think Londier is going to pull it off. I wish he would. Londier is a player I really want to see go deep, but I think that's where his journey ends as well. Oh, I missed these ones. Whoops, we're back to the first rank. I missed these, sorry. So back to this round. Night Fox versus Enoslisk. Night Fox has definitely been grinding a lot as well. He's getting pretty good. I think again, this is where we start to see divergences between players, where some players have just achieved a different level than others. And unfortunately, I think Enos is probably going to be left behind. I could definitely see it being a 2-1, but I think a 2-0 is more likely. Art of Turtle was Evangelion. Well, again, Evangelion's been working pretty hard, but she's just too new. There has not been time, and I will say, like, the overall RTS skill before Cosmonarchy doesn't seem that high, whereas Art of Turtle obviously is a very skillful player in broodwar, and he's been playing Cosmonarchy plenty. So I think it'll be an unfortunate crushing. You know, I was saying before, you want to watch this match, don't watch this match. It's going to be one-sided, I'm sorry. All right, anyway, where was I in the next round there? All right. BDB versus Jarlstor. Ooh. This is going to be really tough for BDB to win. This would be like I think a major surprise if BDB pulled this off. Not because Jarlstorm's necessarily that stronger. Well, I mean, okay, I guess to say he is, but he'll just have be ready, I think, for BDB. He won't be surprised by what he's doing. But it's possible. Anything's possible. I got to give it to Jarlstorm, man. I'll give it a 2-1 because I'm sure BDB's going to pull something out. As I was saying, in official matches, he seems to somehow pull out the most ridiculous wins. So I definitely believe it's a chance, but I got to give it to Jarlstorm on balance. K-Dust versus GGK. Ooh. Hard one. Again, I feel like GGK just doesn't have the level of grinding that K-Dusk has had. Well, K-Dusk hasn't been super active in the last, like, I don't know, week or so, since before I made this video. But there's been times that we've been playing a lot of games, and I feel like the experience is going to serve them well. But GGK is just pretty good. Can I put a 2-2? This is really close. I feel like now that I've said this, it's going to be borne out that it was never close and one of these players never had a chance. I'm going to give it to K-Dusk 2-1. No, I changed my mind. Give it to GGK 2-1. No. We're going back. You can see how uncertain I am about this one. 2-1 for K-Dusk. I'm committing. Jackie Langston vs. Dead Infested. Ooh. This is a real challenge for Dead Infested. As I said, he's improved so much. He's really coming up there. Jack's going to be a major challenge for him, though. Because Jack Langston, I feel like, is one of these players who's really just on the verge of breaking into being a contender. He's not quite there for sure. There's definitely weaknesses in his play. But it's going to be difficult for Dead Infested to exploit them, I think. I'm not sure Dead Infested's style is really going to be of a kind that he can exploit Jack Langston. Like I was saying, if Jack Langston doesn't die in the early game, he will dominate you. He will infest the entire map. So, I'm sorry, I think it's a 2-0. Oh, again, I missed this other one down here. Okay. Night Fox versus Art of Turtle. Again, I feel like Art of Turtle just has that level. Night Fox definitely has been playing hard, but I don't think he can take Art of Turtle. Art of Turtle's been really strong. Like I say, just inherited from these broodwar skills and have played Cosmonarchy enough that I feel like he can do it. Is Night Fox going to take a game? I think not. Unfortunately, I think not. All right. Into the fourth round, I guess it is. Week 7 versus Jarlstorm. I still want to edge towards Veek, but again, there's the question of how much practice he's been getting, right? I'm not sure if he could actually win it. I don't know, maybe by now in the Gauntlet, he'll have had to play a few matches, though, actually. So if he's that out of form that I think he might be, he'll have had time to get back into it. So you know what, actually, I think Vic does take it, but it's going to be a close series, I think. So 2-1 there. Smarty Cakes versus K-Dusk. What was I saying about Smarty Cakes before? I think he's a shark here. He's just going to be crushing through. This is going to be Smarty Cakes Gauntlet. We're like, oh god, we have to watch out for Smarty Cakes now. He's scary. So I'm going to say straight up 2-0. I think it's going to be like, oh no, is Smarty Cakes in the lower bracket with me? Boom, you're dead. EUD 64 versus Jack Lansky? Ooh, okay. Now, I was saying before, you have to have a certain style to counter Jack. I think EUD can pull it off. With the right kind of play, I think he can really take on Jack in the early game. But in the late game, I feel like Jack could still potentially win. EUD does have really, really good macro, though. EUD definitely is favored here, I think. But Jack could win. He could definitely win. Especially, I think, if he prepares specific strategies. He has a really good chance here. But Jack has been really out of practice well, unfortunately. He hasn't had time to play much. So I'm still just giving it to EUD there. But I think Jack victory is possible. Shopkeeper Dog versus AOT. Well, it turns out every round is me just saying AOT is really good. Because I still think he's going to win that. I think it's going to be closer. I think 2-1, but I still think AOT does it. I think what's going to happen probably is in one game, AOT is not going to look very good at all. It's going to be like, oh, I guess Shopkeeper Dog's winning the series. But he will, I think, adapt pretty quickly to whatever Shopkeeper Dog's doing and be able to overpower him. That's what I predict. That said, if Shopkeeper Dog has really well-prepared strategies, like one for each map, for example, he could definitely win here. But in that said, I'm saying basically that Shopkeeper Dog needs to prepare more than AOT to win. All right, into the next round. So these players, by the way, eliminated from the upper bracket as well. The ones who are in the... Oh, no, we're not up to the ones who are in the qualifiers yet. Oh, yes, we are. So these players are down from the first qualifier. They get a second chance. But before we get to that, we have to see who they're facing from the first one. So, Vic 7 versus Smarty Cakes. I've been talking about Smarty Cakes this much. PvP. It's tricky, but Smarty Cakes just has so much more recent practice. I'm giving it to Smarty Cakes, and I think a 2-0 is actually likely. I think a 2-1 is very possible. I do not think a victory is very likely at all here. I think Smarty Cakes can pull it off. EUD 64 versus Art of Turtle. I think EUD could take this. I think he has the skills to sort of handle AOT. And again, by now, if he'll played this many matches, he'll be quite back up to speed. He'll just have to be. He'll have no choice because he'll played that many games. So I think this is where EUD shines and takes him out. But I think it's probably a 2-1. I think AOT could take a game. I don't think AOT victory is likely, though. All right, like I was saying, now we have the final qualifiers from the losers of the first qualifiers as well. Again, the finals are fake. So, Arbuz Budesh versus Smarty Cakes qualifier. Another PvP. Look, man, Smarty Cakes is strong, but Arbuz Budesh has to be the PvP expert, man. He's played so many PvPs, and he's been playing Protoss for a while as well. I just feel like he'll be able to handle Smarty Cakes here. It's gonna be a great PvP set to watch, though. You know, if you just want to learn about PvP and see how it looks in the current meta, this would be the set to watch. But I think that's gonna be a sure victory for Arbuz Budesh. The question is, how close will it be? PvP can be volatile still. Obviously, it's very different in Cosmonarchy, but there's still possibilities. I think it's gonna be 3-1. I think that's most likely. So, Arbuz Budesh will qualify. Again, no surprise when you ask me in the list of players who's going to qualify. Of course, I'm going to pick Arbuz Budesh as one of them. Mystery Meat versus EUD. Oh, this is tricky. I'd say they're very evenly matched. But I think, did we see them play before? Was that Hit 'em Up versus Mystery Meat? I don't remember. Or Ramen. I don't know. There was one TVT series I watched where I thought, like, oh, Mystery Meat just has a bit of an advantage here. But I don't think it was against EUD on reflection. So, hard to say. I think EUD is pretty good at the sort of constant management of TVT, though. So, this is super close. I think EUD's got to have it. Again, because he's played this many games by now. He'll be back up to speed. I think he was always a little bit stronger than Mystery Meat was at his peak as well. So I'm giving it to EUD. I'm going to say 3-2. I think that would be super close. So I can't believe I'm saying Mystery Meat's not going to qualify. That'd be the bracket. So, let's zoom in a bit. Our 4 qualifiers will be Hit 'em Up, Top Ramen, over here, Arbuz Budesh, and EUD. I'm saying that Mystery Meat's not going to qualify. I can't believe it. But there is a second gauntlet, don't forget. There will be a second gauntlet. I probably won't be back in time to do a prediction for that, but there we go. I'll save images of this somewhere as well and post them so you all can laugh at me when I get it wrong. But there we have it.